All right, we're back in the kitchen again, and this time I have a pickleball paddle called the Mark 1 by Mark Pickleball. So before we get too deep into the review, I was able to get with Mark Pickleball and get you guys a discount code. Spencer Does Reviews. It's going to be down below in the description, as well as a link to their website. And I have to say, this is a paddle that I really like. Now, I have gotten several games under my belt, been playing with it for the past week or so, and I really like this thing. I mean, first off, we do have a Kevlar paddle. This is the second Kevlar paddle I've ever owned. The other one is the Pickleball Apes Kevlar paddle, and that one has a red surface to it. You can tell here, this one is like a blue and black weave right there because it is Kevlar and carbon weave. Now, this is the 16 millimeter version, and I have to say, so basically the thickness of the paddle itself is 16 millimeters, but that is not how thick the core is. The core is actually not as thick, but it's going to make the whole thing 16 millimeters, so you are going to get more pop with this than maybe some other brands 16 millimeters, just because the core itself is actually a little skinny. So really quick with the stats, this is a hybrid shape. We have the Kevlar carbon weave. Now, this is thermoform edge to edge, and we do even have foam injected in the handle. And I just wanted to point that out specifically because normally every paddle that I play with, I put a grip over it, whether that's a Hexacord grip or one of the other variations of the rubber grips that you can put with an overgrip. I have not put an overgrip or a Hexacord grip on this aside from just what came from the manufacturer, and normally I start having elbow issues and all of that, and I haven't gotten that with this paddle at all, and I haven't put any type of grip on it. So I do think that the foam fill in the handle is definitely something that's helping absorb a lot of that shock. So if that's something that you have a problem, this might also be a really good paddle to look into. Because of that, you know, I am probably going to end up still putting a grip on it, just because I like the feel of those grooves in the handle. I do wish a paddle company would start kind of including, they could make their own possibly, or partner with Hexacord and, you know, get some sort of grip that comes standard on their paddles. I think that would be a really good idea. But all that said, the foam in here definitely made it to where I wasn't having those issues with this paddle, whereas typically I would start to have that issue after a day or two without having that grip, and I did not have that with. So the average weight is supposed to be 8.2 ounces, and the one that I got right here is spot on to that. I want to show you guys 8.2, nothing on here. So their average weight, the one that I got, now obviously when it comes to these paddles, it can, vary lighter or vary a little bit heavier, but they said the average weight is 8.2, and that's exactly the one that I got. So the grip length is 5.3 inches with the circumference being 4 1/8 inches. This is a size that I really like. I'm not a big guy. I like having a smaller handle, and like I said, having that smaller circumference is really going to allow me to actually put that grip on there and still have that room after I take off the manufacturing grip tape and put that on there, and allow me to not feel like I'm just like holding on to something just massive in my hand. I like that smaller circumference. Now, obviously, this is USAPA approved. You're going to want to be able to play this in tournaments. And not only did they release this Mark 1, they also released 2 other versions. All right, so this other 2 versions is the Mark 1X, which is essentially the same paddle, except we're going to have a longer handle. So instead of having a 5.3 inch handle, the Mark 1X is a 5.75 inch handle. So this one, specifically the Mark 1, is really one-handed. You're not really going to be able to get any two-handed backhands or anything, but the Mark 1X has that longer handle, so that if that's something that you're wanting, you definitely can do that. But to make up for the longer handle, the head itself is actually a little bit lighter to make up for that. So if you're actually wanting a lighter paddle, even though it has that longer handle, the paddle itself is still lighter. So if you're wanting something a little bit lighter, the 1X might be what you're looking for. And the next one that they released at the same time as the Mark 1 is the Mark 2. And that is the elongated version. So the big difference between the elongated version and the normal version is surprisingly, it's actually 1 ounce lighter at 8.1 on average, or 1/10 of an ounce lighter instead of at 8.2, it's at 8.1. You also are going to get a slightly longer handle at 5.5, and then obviously the length of the head is going to be a little bit longer. It's the elongated version, obviously, but once again, it is going to be that 16 millimeters thickness. It's going to have the same thing where it's just the core, so the total thing is 16, not just the core. So that is something to take note of. Now, as far as playing with this paddle, I was able to get tons of spin with it and really good power. Normally, I would have been putting some lead tape on the sides here. I haven't done that at all, and I was able to get the ball placed kind of wherever I wanted. Obviously, you're going to have a few games of getting used to a new paddle. Every time you get a new paddle, it's not going to be perfect right away. You want to give it some time, which is why I was waiting to put this review. Even though this paddle has already launched, I wanted to get a few more games under my belt before I could really speak to it. So me personally, I probably am still going to end up putting some lead tape, and that is just to help elongate the sweet spot. Whenever you have these hybrid paddles, they're still going to have a very good size sweet spot, so that's not going to be a problem. I just got used to having lead tape on my other paddle, so it's just a personal preference. And it's going to be the same with why I want to put a grip on here. Once again, it is just a personal preference. This paddle overall with the Kevlar carbon weave is awesome. You're going to get really good pop. You're going to get some good power. And overall, I would say this is more of an all-court paddle. But also, who am I to say what your all-court paddle is? Because I'm not an expert at pickleball. I'm just a guy on the internet who likes talking about stuff. But I definitely really enjoyed this paddle. I like that the new the new colors. This is, in case you were wondering, it is kind of like a Kinetic rebrand. That's basically what this paddle is. But it is awesome. I never got my hands on the original Kinetic. I like that we have this Kevlar carbon weave, but instead of going with the traditional red, they've gone with kind of like a very dark, almost navy blue with the black. And I like this green. I'm going to have to try and find, when I put my grip on here, I need to try and find some tape that's green, some grip tape that's green to match this, because I'm pretty excited about this. I like this color scheme, and I really like this. Everything about Mark Pickleball so far, I've enjoyed. I like the way they're treating their customers. I like the way they're treating their ambassadors. So, if this is one that you're looking for, if you're looking for a good hybrid paddle with this Kevlar, that's a good all-in-one court paddle. Honestly, even if you're newer in the sport, the price point on this is awesome, and you combine that with the discount code down below, you're going to get an even better deal. So definitely one to check out.